Hi, this is Steve O'Mooney, and you're listening to another production of the Four-Eyed Radio Network at foureyeradio.com.
This Four-Eyed Radio production is brought to you by America Joy Print Shop. All your printing needs taken care of in one convenient place. Visit americajoy.com for business cards, flyers, banners, decals, car wraps, and more. Visit americajoy.com.
Say file corrupted!
With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hooked on the brothers. Yo, you're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Koopas and Troopers, the princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. To the bridge.
Well, welcome to Save File Corrupted. This is Prometheus.
This is Agamemnon.
This is Agamemnon trying out a new character.
I want to do this whole podcast in his voice.
We're going to just call him Jägerbomb.
Oh, fuck you, man. That was uncalled
And
for.
already breaking character.
Whatever.
Oh, man. Well, to start off with something that I'm excited about, Soul Calibur 2 HD Online is out.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great.
So if you heard any previous episodes, you should know that we feel that Soul Calibur 2 is hands down the best in the series.
Yeah.
It's I think it was the perfect balance. I want to say 5. Are we up to 5 now?
Yeah.
5 was close. 5 was the closest to 2.
Five is basically as balanced and good a game as we'll ever get so far.
Yeah, as far as new ones
But
go.
2, before balance patches existed and all that, yeah, we know the game had certain broken elements, but for its time, that game is incredible, or was incredible for its time. And Soul Calibur 2 still stands as like the gold standard of the series.
The Soul Stone burns. Yeah, and I think one of the major reasons for that is the parry system. Like, they well, for whatever reason...
The guard impact. I think.
Yeah, well, I call it parry.
Yeah, it's pretty much a parry.
Luke Perry. But yeah, the guard impact. I mean, it just adds like this fun dynamic to it, and I don't know, like to me that's what really drew me. I mean, because I think the first Soul Calibur was awesome. You saw it on Dreamcast. The graphics were amazing for its time. You know, to me that was like what made 3D fighters. And then Soul Calibur 2 comes out, they improve on that. And I don't know, to me the gameplay was just the most solid of the series, and they've yet to recapture that since then.
Not only that, but it was just a really fun roster. The gameplay was really speedy, you know, and a match could end in a second. And it's kind of still like that, but it's more so because there's so much taken off your life, as opposed to how it used to be in Soul Calibur 2. Like, yeah, a match could end really quick in like 4 hits from Siegfried. Yeah. But Siegfried was relatively slow compared to everyone else, and he still kind of is. You know, there's been a lot of changes, but it doesn't feel like it has the speed of Soul Calibur 2, or even like the balance between every character. You know, it still feels like there's certain dominant characters, and yeah, Killick was like really cheap.
Oh my god!
In Soul Calibur 2, as was Maxi and stuff, but you know they've been neutralized since then. But I don't know, like Soul Calibur 5 definitely has come very close to capturing the magic that was Soul Calibur 2, but Soul Calibur 2 is still, like I said earlier, the gold standard in the series.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited that they re-released it.
One of the things I think is really interesting, or that should be fun, because, you know, we played the PlayStation and also the GameCube version, so we've had a chance to play Heihachi and also Link for their respective systems, but neither of us had an Xbox, so we never played Spawn. So this version is going to have Heihachi as well as Spawn, so it'll be kind of cool to finally get to play as Spawn. Yeah. I will miss Link, because he was my favorite character to play in the game. Yeah. It was so easy to ring people out. Yeah. That's what I did.
People were saying, like, it was hard to use Link, but it's like, I kind of disagree. He was, like, easily the cheapest, because he had a good amount of projectiles. You know, he had the boomerang, he had bombs, and he had the bow and arrow,
Yeah.
which is like super fast, you know.
Yeah,
his gameplay was definitely more linear, but he was still more or less tough to get around, especially somebody that knew their way, or just like Beetle just completely loved Link.
Yeah,
and, like you would just like spam bombs, and like it's an infinite number. It's not like there's like a handful of them. It's part of his moveset, you know. So I don't know. It was just really fun, but like at the same time, he was really cheap as well.
Yeah, definitely, which is why I liked him.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get a surprise. Maybe he'll show up in the game. But from what I've heard, he won't be in there. So I think
Nintendo's not going to budge.
Yeah.
If it's not released for the Wii U, he's not going to come out on any other console.
Yeah. I wish they would have just made like a Link-like character. Just call him like Blink or something.
Well, I mean, you know, they could easily just make, you use the outline, or not the outline, but just use like the base model of it.
Yeah.
And then just put a different shield, a different outfit, and then just boom, there it is.
Yeah.
You know?
At least it's like the moveset, you know.
Yeah, a different sword, you know.
Just make like an Edge Master.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just make it look like Edge Master or something. I don't know. That'd be fun, just to have him in there. Or at least make him easily creatable in like the character creation system.
Yeah. I don't think they had a character creation in 2, did they?
Well, you could still make your characters and stuff, make them different.
Oh yeah. You could edit them. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, because I think 4 is the first one where you could like from the ground up. Maybe
Yeah,
3,
you could actually create a character. Yeah.
Best part of Soul Calibur 4, which is kind of sad to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get that game. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, that's one of the classics that I miss and definitely would spend a lot of time playing again.
Yeah.
So speaking of classics, Metal Gear Solid. So I think it was about a week ago now. Kojima had teased this major announcement that's gonna blow people's minds, and it's exclusive PS3 content. And I was hype. I was like, all right.
It was like around the 14th or 15th, I think.
Yeah. I was like, okay, for it to be mind-blowing, it would have to be like a PS3 bundle where you like save a lot of money, or it's free. It's like, and then I was thinking, or for fans like me, it has something to do with David Hayter. It'd be like David Hayter, like DLC, where you just download his voice and he'd have the voice through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when I read the headline that you could play as Classic Snake, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I assumed it was going to be you play through the regular game, but you have the skin, like a newly rendered skin, but from Solid Snake with David Hayter doing the voice, and then I just got deflated when I actually read the article. I was like, what? Like, you get the sprite from the PlayStation version and not even voiced by David Hayter. I was just like, that's supposed to be mind-blowing? Like, the only thing that blows my mind is that he would say that it's mind-blowing when it's something so lame,
It's
like
mind-blowing
fucking lame.
because it's so incredibly stupid.
Yeah, so that's the deja vu mission, which I'm not at all looking forward to. Like, it's almost like to the point of like just pissing me off, where it's like I'm not even excited about the game anymore. Like that's what's supposed to blow my mind. Like, is the rest of the game supposed to blow my mind? Am I going to be that disappointed with that?
Did you mean blow my mind in like a bad way?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
totally what it's doing.
Yeah, so I was really bummed. It was like, really, like, at least if it was like, okay, David Hayter would do the voice. I'm like, all right, I can excuse it,
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, oh, you get to use the pointy, rocky polygon version of Snake from PlayStation. Like, okay.
It's like, what
else is there?
How is that something to get excited about? You can see how crappy graphics were back then. I know how crappy graphics were back then. That's why I don't play PlayStation titles.
If you just look at it by itself as just like, yeah, it's going to be like a free DLC thing. Like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will find it novel or funny or whatever. Like it was like in Guns of the Patriot, where you could have that thing where you could use Snake's PlayStation face.
Yeah.
And just walk around like that with that weird pixely face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or you could just look like regular Snake, like young Snake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have just made it like an unlock like that and not hyped it.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. The hype was the big issue because it was just like, your mind's going to be blown. We got this huge announcement coming. And then when they announced it, it's just like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's just the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life.
Exactly. Oh man, it's such bullshit.
It's like you can say like, yeah, you're gonna get a free OST with the game, you know, so you get the soundtrack from the entire series, like a $30 value or whatever for free. I'm like, okay, sweet. You know, like when I bought King of Fighters 13, it came with the free soundtrack.
Oh,
you know, I got the game for like $45. You know, a few months after it came out, and I get this free OST. I was like, awesome. I don't like half the songs, but it's fucking 8 CDs of King of Fighters music. You know, it's like, well, cool. It's free.
Yeah.
You can't complain with free, even if you don't like it. Sweet, I'll give it to a friend if you don't like it, you know?
Yeah.
But I kept mine, of course.
That's a lot of Buster Wolf.
It is. It's tons of Buster Wolf. It's just classic songs from, you know, the past. It's like, and I can't remember the last time, you know, Capcom did that with any of their Street Fighter games. It's like, yeah, here's an OST, yeah.
maybe on disc DLC.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had something like that with their big their fucking $100 collection.
Oh yeah, with a Ryu statue.
Yeah, but you're not getting it for free. It's part of the whole bundle. It's not like, oh yeah, here's a game and a free OST.
Oh yeah, their 25th anniversary for Street Fighter, not Street Fighter 2, mind you, for Street Fighter that still doesn't have Street Fighter, the original game, in it.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you guys. I know you're embarrassed about the game, but let people fucking play it.
Yeah.
You know? Or just, like, do, like, an updated version. Have the original version and do what they should have done. Take the Third Strike engine and remake the first game.
Yeah.
That would be badass.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do that. So fuck you, Capcom. But anyway, my whole point of bringing this up is apparently the Xbox is also going to have exclusive content. So I'm sure it's going to be just as lame. They haven't announced what it is yet, but I don't know. Maybe you get to play as pixelated Raiden, and you get to put that on Snake's face.
Oh no! On the Xbox, you're going to be able to play as David Hayter voiceover.
They're going to let you play with Master Chief head instead. I don't know. Maybe you'll get a Gears of War chainsaw gun or some shit.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. But either way, I was so bummed. I was like, really? Because I was literally like that the following day when they were like, big announcement tomorrow. This I typed in, I think it was just like Kojima PS4 announcement, just kept refreshing until like a story came up, and I was like, wait, I think they're on a different time zone. So the next morning, first thing in the morning, get on the computer, and I'm all excited, and I'm just like, what? Like, I'm going back to bed.
What bullshit is this?
Yeah, what fresh hell is this? So, I don't know. Kojima, come on, bro. You're killing me, Smalls.
I don't know, it's just like, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's like, it's just, ever since the game was announced, there's been like all these tidbits of just bullshit info about the game. Mm-hmm. You know, from this to the quiet controversy of how she looks, and then, you know, David Hayter not returning to the series, and then, like, you know, for as big of a star he is, it's like, okay, you got Kiefer, and you're not making this a big deal. It's just like, yeah, Kiefer Sutherland's voicing it. That's about as far as we're going with that. You know, it's not like they're making this a big deal, or he's coming out and be like, hey, I'm in this video game. You know, like how Quantic Dream blew up, that they were working with Willem Dafoe and
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page. I kept wanting to call her Ellie.
Well, that did work out splendidly for them.
Well, it did to an extent because, you know, they were out there and they were pimping the game.
Yeah,
it was just the story sucked balls.
Yeah.
You know? The character development was incredible, but the story, from what everyone was saying, was like the story suffered. The story didn't go anywhere. And you already knew, like, no matter what situation she's in, she's telling the story past tense.
Yeah.
So you know she's going to live. It's like in Battlefield 3, you're getting interrogated like midway through the game. So you know everything that leads up to that point, you're not going to die. You know? It's not until like the last 45 minutes of gameplay where, like, okay, this is where you find out if you die or not. You know, but everything leading up to that point, it's like, yeah, well, I'm just playing through, like, the guy's history up to the point he gets arrested, you know? And that was the same thing with The Last of Us. Like, you're just going through her life up to now, and then it's over, you know, because now you know how she got where she is, you know?
Yeah, well, no, Last of Us, you're actually playing, like, in real time.
Not Last of Us, Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Same Ellen Page. But, I don't know, I almost feel like the marketing department for Beyond Two Souls, like, they played the game and they're like, oh shit, we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
And that's when they started pushing Ellen Page and William Dafoe, like, you guys need to sell this game because when people play it, they're going to be disappointed. So we got to make sure those day one sales are high.
Yeah. And so with Kiefer Sutherland part of the Metal Gear Solid franchise now, I don't feel like Kojima is doing enough, or at least the Kojima Productions is doing enough to really pimp the game and sell it with Kiefer Sutherland attached. You know, like, hey, Kiefer Sutherland, like, you're not seeing anything like or, you know, they haven't come out with commercials yet, but, you know, trailers or anything, any kind of, like, media to where just, like, starring Kiefer Sutherland. You know, like, I'm afraid, like, that's not what they're going to do, you know. And by all intents and purposes, they should be able to do that, you know. I think video games are getting to that point to where there needs to be billing, you know, because people are getting to that point in their lives where you look like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. You know, people knew that they were in the game, but it didn't say, like, you know, Arkham City starring Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Yeah. When no one's going to disagree that it should be on there. You know, everyone's going to say, yeah, those two names should be on the top of the cover. You know, and I think games are getting to that point to where that's what needs to start happening, where you need to start seeing, like, these people's names, like voice actors that are widely recognized as being incredible talent. You know, and they need that recognition, the same as, like, you know, the Ben Afflecks of the world get top billing on movie posters. You know, like, that needs to start happening on video game covers.
I can see that. I guess I just feel I think the reason why they haven't done it is because, like, you know, the casual fan probably doesn't really realize, like, who these voice actors are. Even if maybe they recognize the voice from game to game. You know, like, not everybody's like, oh, man, this is, you know, Nolan North, you know, I love this voice actor. You know, it's usually the franchise itself that sells. Yeah. But by that same token, they could build these guys into bigger names. Yeah, they just have to push them.
That's my point. But I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think it has more to do with the origins of video games and the fact that all of the early games had nothing to do with voice acting. Yeah. So that just kind of, I think that was just kind of the norm. So as we started going into, from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, there was no games with any kind of voice acting. It was all like teleprompting and then, or subtitles. And then you get into the N64 where you're actually kind of getting a little bit of voice here and there. And then when you actually hit the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast genre, that's when voice acting kind of became prevalent, but it was still like the old school style, like, here's the video game art and that's it, you know. And even with Command and Conquer and stuff, like, that whole series had, like, you know, Jenny McCarthy, Mark Hamill, and a couple other, you know, not top, but like C-list, B-list celebrities in there, and their names were never featured on the front, you know. It wasn't like, you know, and you think if you saw a game with Mark Hamill's name on it, without knowing that he was already in there, you're just looking at the cover and be like, Mark Hamill's in this game? Yeah. He voices the character? Dude, I'm getting this game. I'm going to check it out. You know, like, how does that 2 and 2 never get put together to, like, sell a fucking game? Like, that's never been done. I mean, I'm sure there's been a handful of games, but if you go to Walmart or GameStop and go now, you're not going to see anybody's names, even if they're famous actors. You're not going to see their names on the front.
Yeah, it's very rare that they push it. Like, one of the few instances I can think was Army of Two, 40th Day with was it Big Boy and I can't remember the other guy. With the two rappers,
Big Boy and and that was the other thing with ever like secondary characters.
Yeah, they weren't even the main characters, but like they kind of pushed them. And it was just like they were in there. They were like the most pointless characters as well. Yeah. But you know, that was kind of the only thing I can really see where there was kind of a tie-in where it's like because they did the music for it, so then they kind of had them selling on that point. Yeah. But but as far as it just like straight up just being like, hey, this is the voice actor. You know, I think they could definitely do it with something that's more ironically like Beyond Two Souls or Heavy Rain. Where it's very narrative driven, and then they can be like, well, this is the person, this is the actor behind this, this game that you really enjoyed. So I can see them being able to do it. I think it's just a matter of having the right game to market it, and I think once one kind of paves the way, I think that others can start to do that as well. Yeah. So, but I don't know. Back to Metal Gear Solid real quick. Just Kojima. You disappoint. But speaking of excellent voice actors, Naughty Dog is detailing or revealing some details for Uncharted for the PlayStation 4. And let's see here. It's kind of interesting because I love the Uncharted series, and I would obviously definitely like to play another one, but at the same time, it's like I'm not really like on the edge of my seat because it's just like I enjoyed it so much, like I was satisfied at the end. I didn't feel like I need more. I feel like it was I don't know, like they did their job, especially with Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 to a lesser extent.
Uh-huh.
But basically what they said as far as it concerns Uncharted is just our goal is to continue what we've done in previous console generations and once again deliver the best in storytelling, performance capture, technical innovation, and graphics on the PS4. We can confirm that the voiceover is performed by Todd Stashwick, and he will play a character in the game. So, I don't even know who Todd Stashwick is, but he'll be there.
I'm sure he's good.
Yeah. I'm sure he stashes wicks. And then, obviously, there's also Last of Us DLC, and I believe that's the prequel you can play as Ellie, which I think will be really interesting. And I'm sure before long we'll see a sequel to that as well. So, I don't know. I don't really know where else they can go with Uncharted.
Yeah.
I would like to see something that's like a lot different for the last two games. Because the third one really just felt like a rehash of the second, just a lot prettier version of the second game.
It was more polished. The story was a little more streamlined, and I think for all the wrong reasons. Because the second one the story was incredible.
Yeah.
It played off on a storyline that's very rarely explored, the whole myth of Shangri-La, and Indian mythology or Indian lore, whatever. I'm ignorant on it, so if it's not mythology, I apologize. But just anything having to do with Hindu Indian history, and it dates back to that, and it starts with the travels of Marco Polo, and it's just like, wow, that doesn't get explored too often, let alone in a video game. And it's like almost giving you like this pseudo history lesson. Like I'm sure there's truth in it, and there's like a little bit of fantasy thrown into it. And it was intricately designed, and it takes you on this journey around the world to all these crazily exotic places. And it just did such a beautiful job painting the scenery for like what little areas you're allowed to explore.
Yeah.
You still get the gist of like how expansive the environment that you're in really is. And in Uncharted 3, you don't really get that. You still get the same like high pace or like heart thumping scenes, but the problem was that they weren't heart thumping simply because Uncharted 2 already prepared you for it. So when you were on a big plane, you like already knew like it's gonna crash.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when. Something big's gonna hit me. It's just a matter of like when I'm supposed to dodge it.
Yeah.
Or if you're like down a tunnel, it's like, something's gonna fall down, and I'm gonna have to like scoot up real quick or like tunnel my way down as fast as I can. It's just like these predictable scenes. And like Uncharted 2, you weren't sure when anything was gonna happen because everything was fresh, everything was new. And I've played through that game 3 times, and every time always felt like something new. Like even if I knew stuff was coming, I was like anxiously anticipating, and I'm like, oh shit, when does it happen? Am I still gonna fall? Like I don't know, because the environment sets you up for this, just like makes you feel very small.
Yeah.
And that was just a great thing. Where Uncharted 3 just felt rushed. It didn't give you the feeling that you were a small person in this environment. It gave you the feeling that you were just this invincible person in a weak world, and everyone else was just like your pawn. The story was still really great, but it felt very rushed. And it didn't have as many like incredible twists. It had its share of great twists, and just mind fucks, but overall it wasn't as great as it was in Uncharted 2.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know, to me, like, the plane scene was still a lot of fun. I think, to me, what diminished, like, the excitement factor was, like, the bridge collapsings and the, like, I swear, like, because it, like, it happens
floors breaking.
Yeah, because it happens in Uncharted 2 every now and then, but they don't overdo it. Uncharted 3, it's like literally you feel like every step you take, like the ground's gonna fall, and they go through that sequence over and over again.
Yeah.
And it gets so repetitive and stale. But I mean, yeah, it still has its moments. Like when you're playing as young Nathan Drake, love that. The very opening scene where you're in the bar fight with Sully,
Yeah.
perfect. You know, the airplane scene was fun. When you're tripping, when you're in the desert, love that. You know, so it has its highlights.
It does. It has very great scenery.
Yeah, it has its highlights in gameplay and in story, but I felt like the overall game felt a little bit detached. Like it just felt it felt like it had high highs, but in between it was just kind of like more of the same.
Yeah, and I mean, for Nathan Drake, that was the big thing with me because he didn't feel as vulnerable as he did in Uncharted 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you like you said, you explore his past as a young kid, and he's an orphan, but he still seems like a badass in the making. You know, with the jumping scenes, you know, rooftop jumping and stuff, and it's just like, golly, man, he was doing this shit from day one. It's like, what the hell's the deal? You know, but it doesn't really explain his story. It's like, you know, he's an orphan, but you don't know quite where he came from.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not. And then it kind of throws the question out there, like, oh, well, maybe he wasn't really like a descendant of Francis Drake. You know, he's just really an orphan kid that was just a fan of his history and wanted to go treasure hunting. You know?
Yeah. Maybe he used to be part of a traveling circus.
Yeah, a regular Dick Grayson.
Yes, I was like, hey, he was an orphan too.
But yeah, you know, I thought it was just going to play more on the vulnerabilities of Nathan Drake because, you know, female characters get a lot of flack for, like, you know, you're in love with these female characters, strong female characters, mostly because they're more like guys with boobs and they're indestructible, you know. But it's like, and then there's the whole thing, you know, where, you know, like, you know, you have the sites like the Mary Sue where they argue, like, why can't they be strong physically, but also like mentally or emotionally broken? You know, they're human. You know, females are human, and you're creating them as Supermen in some of these games.
Yeah.
You know, Tomb Raider is one of the few games where like you have a vulnerable female hero who's you know, suffers. Yeah, well, pretty much suffers, but finds adversity and struggles and becomes stronger because of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a rare story in video games. Whereas like Mass Effect, you know, you have this really strong female character, but it's just the dude version, the chick version of the dude that you play, who's portrayed as an indestructible badass. You know.
Yeah, I think with Mass Effect especially, because it is in the most literal sense, where you just are changing the gender of the character.
Yeah, you know? You're just tailoring to what you want. Like, oh, cool, I get Jennifer Hale's voice instead of the other dude. I forget the other guy's name. And then that's kind of how it is in Uncharted. He's just another Superman, you know. And Uncharted 2, I felt like it set up the whole thing, you know, because he's always escaping by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, he just has this incredible amount of like ridiculous luck. And at the same time, you know, you still feel like he's vulnerable because all the times, you know, where you're falling and whatnot, and then his own friends betray him. So, you know, he's kind of like emotionally distraught. But, you know, he has his group of friends and his supporting. He has that level of support from family and friends, you know, with Sully, with Chloe, with Elena. And in the third game, you kind of have that. Like, you have Sully, but Sully's kind of... He's kind of not there a few times, and then Chloe, she ditches you at the beginning of the game. You know, she's there for that mission, and then she's like, all right, well, thanks for the job, and then she's gone. And then Elena's kind of there to help you out, but it's more just to help you through a spot so that you can advance to the next level. But you're more or less on your own just being a Superman. You're not this kind of emotionally broken character relying on his friends, you know, in the most dire situations. It's just they're kind of there to help you boost through a thing, and then you get no like level of betrayal like there was with Flynn in Uncharted 2. So there's no like deep-seated hate or any real like, I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of conflict for me in the game. It was just very cut and dry.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like I'm rambling now. So
I don't know. For me, like
talk too much.
I still feel like my major aversion was just the repetitiveness of every bridge crumbling. Like I swear you couldn't go across a single bridge or climb a single thing without it crumbling beneath you. And after it happens so many times, it loses like all impact. You're just like, all right, I know this is coming. I'm gonna fall now. You know, it's like if they at least would have like a few where it's like they build back up that safety net where you're like, all right, I'm not going to fall. Like, they're just messing with me. And then all of a sudden you fall again.
Yeah.
Then, it's like one of those where, like, you're short of breath because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
But it definitely, they didn't have that in the third game. It just was like, it was too much, I feel. They think that was a problem. They needed to pull back a little bit with that.
Another issue I had... Another issue I had with the third one was that it lacked comedy.
Yeah.
The second one was chock full of it, and that's part of what made it fun because it just felt like a modern day Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And the third one just kind of felt like a little more serious for my taste, and it was just kind of like the third one. If the second one was like this incredible like Empire Strikes Back. The third one was more like Bad Boys 2, but with less comedy and more more like Transformers, I guess. We're just like action everywhere, and you're just expecting it to be action. And it was a great game. Don't get me wrong, one of the best games of 2011.
Yeah,
great game, great title, or 2012. I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't even remember.
20 something.
All I know is that there's no GOTY version and no. What do you call it? Trilogy bundle for Christmas. So, like, what the hell's the deal with that, Naughty Dog and Sony? That's my only thing.
Yeah.
But it's more like the Transformers of the series. It's just all action and more or less predictability.
Yeah. I would at least bump it up to the Bad Boys 2, because
Bad Boys. Well, the only reason why I don't say Bad Boys 2 is because to me, I know you don't like Bad Boys 2, but Bad Boys 2 to me was funny.
Yeah.
It had a lot of great funny moments. And to me, Uncharted Enough didn't really do enough.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, yeah, I'd relegate it more to Transformers.
Yeah,
I was just thinking
because I would actually play through Uncharted 3 again.
I would too. I've been meaning to. Now that we're inching closer to next gen, I'm trying to platinum out with as many games as I can.
Gotcha.
I need one more trophy for Uncharted 2, which is play on the most hard. So once we finish up with Battlefield 4 single player, we're going to start playing that.
Okay.
Uncharted 2, and then from Uncharted 2 we're going to start doing some trophy whoring on Uncharted 3.
Gotcha.
Just to kick off like the farewell to next gen to last gen before we all end up getting PlayStation 4s.
Yeah. Just while we're on the subject of that, just to let you listeners know that don't know, we've been doing dying here.
Blah, blah, blah.
Dying here. We've been doing Let's Plays with both Tomb Raider, the latest Tomb Raider, as well as Battlefield 4. So we've been uploading those to our YouTube page. If you haven't been there, Punching the Walls Reality, check out YouTube. We're going to try and do more, just have more and more content. Beetle has some hidden stuff away that eventually will probably see the light of day. He's got an Assassin's Creed 4 one that's pretty badass. I think he has a Dragon's Dogma, like hour-long dragon fight, which will maybe one day surface.
Yeah, I have to get the video from him, and then we'll just play it and commentate it, and then we'll just load it up from there.
Yeah.
But I'll be at my mom's Wednesday, and I'll just take the damn freaking crap from him
if it still
and
exists.
edit it there on the spot before we actually have to meet up with Rich. So.
But yeah, I was going to say also, I mean, the whole thing is if you guys have any suggestions, any games you're like, oh, I'd love to see you guys play that and see your take on it, we're open to suggestions. Obviously, as long as it's not something that we can get our hands on, we'll, at least make the attempt to put it out there. And as long as it's not just like I don't know, like Iron Man the movie, the video games, like I'm not going to... Actually, you know what? I will play that shit. If you guys really want it, I will take the time and I will play it. But you have to send it to me because I'm not going to pay money for that shit. But but we'll take requests, and it's something we're starting out to just doing. So we would like your input.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on, virtual reality. So Valve has figured out affordable virtual reality with Prototype
by using Nintendo's old Virtual Boy consoles.
yeah, they're bringing it back. They got the defibrillators, and they just shocked it back. So, so they're saying that they have the hardware, so they'll be capable within a couple of years. And let's see here. So it's discovered by Steam Developer Days. They'll host a talk called "What VR Cloud Should and Almost Certainly Will Be Within 2 Years." So according to Valve, the company has assembled a prototype which demonstrates that VR hardware is capable of stunning experiences. This type of hardware is almost certainly going to appear in short order. The time to start developing it is now. Like right that second. Like now.
Like now.
Like right now. Like right now they're busy at
like right now.
Valve Studios.
By the time you're listening to it, it was at the time of us recording, not at the time of you listening.
Yeah, they have Gordon Freeman shackled and tied to a developer bench and making him make these VR.
Which
headsets.
unfortunately means no part 3s of any title that they're currently making.
Yeah, but they're just like, yeah. Well, maybe if they finally do make a part 3 of Half-Life, or even Half-Life 2 side story episode 2 or episode 3, maybe it'll be like, we're only gonna do it if it's virtual reality. So maybe that's their own self motivation. But I don't know. I've never been somebody that's been like, oh my god, I can't wait for VR. I'm one of those people where I feel like I'll wait till I see it. And if it looks impressive, then it's like, all right, I want to do that.
Yeah.
The closest thing I've seen, it was someone was playing Battlefield 3, and he was like on an 8-way treadmill, and they had it was just like this video. It's like if I could have something like that. I think they also had like paintball guns shooting at him and stuff, and they had some type of like special ops soldier, and he was saying like it really did simulate like the adrenaline rush and all that you actually get from combat. So something like that would be cool, but obviously, even if you get a VR headset that's affordable, you wouldn't necessarily have an 8-way treadmill, so, there's still limitations. But I'm interested to see what they can do. I mean, it's Valve. Valve is known for quality.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited in that regard. What about you?
Kind of. Virtual reality stuff never really appealed to me. I've always liked the physical controller in my hand. Mm-hmm. And I don't really want it to go away.
Yeah.
If I had the choice, I would definitely switch to PC if I had a strong enough hardware to support it. But until then, it's console all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to dabble in both. Because, there's certain games I would much rather play on the console, and there's certain games I'd rather play on the PC, like RTS and SPS.
Like Battlefield, if I had it my way, I would play everything Battlefield on PC.
Yeah.
Like, screw... Like, to me, Battlefield was made for PC.
Oh,
and I feel like just to make more money, they tapped it into the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, which, they should. I think it should definitely... I think it deserves more recognition than what they get compared to what Call of Duty gets with the same dumb recycled bullshit that they keep pumping out every year. The Battlefield series is just infinitely... I forgot the last word I was going to use. It's just higher quality. Mm-hmm. It's just what it is. Hands down, higher quality. There's more love into it, and you can see it. There's more balancing and whatnot that goes into the game. And there's just way more stuff to do in general in the Battlefield series. But, we talk about Battlefield an awful lot. So
that we do. So we'll move on to something that... actually... Still on the topic of Battlefield.
Let's do it.
So basically, at one point, I don't know where it came about, but so the EA CFO Blake Jorgensen said, I guess he was asked by an analyst at a UBS conference whether or not they were going to do a Battlefield every year. So it'd be kind of like Call of Duty or like pretty much like a lot of EA's titles where you have like FIFA, like their sports titles where they're just like pretty much yearly updates, and they're asked if they were going to do that for Battlefield. Thankfully, they said no, and that's great, because to me, Battlefield 4 already feels kind of rushed. I can't imagine if Battlefield 5 came out next year. Like, to me, like they need to kind of go back to the lab and kind of tweak some things.
Yeah.
But they said that Battlefield takes about 2 years to develop, so they want to make sure that they're sharing talent across studios, so they keep the core talent of the product, experience for the consumer there. So you also have to be very careful that you don't destroy the franchise along the way. You have to make it exciting and different, but at the same time, you want to make sure you're maintaining a great franchise. Yeah. So I don't know. But I just saw that, and I was just like, that would have been like the worst thing they can do, in my opinion.
Yeah, because, this has actually been one of the few series that we've constantly kept up with since Bad Company 2. Mm. And this game goes back with us since 1942.
Yeah. We're old.
We're old. Yeah, we skipped Battlefield and Battlefield 2 and 2142, but once we started with Bad Company 2, I think the series just appealed to us so much we were just completely fell in love with it.
I still think that's the best of the series.
I honestly do too.
I'm so partial to it. It's just like I don't like Recon in Battlefield 3 or 4. Like I want my Mortar Strike.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Recon isn't the same without those specs that it had for Bad Company 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I can honestly say if it wasn't for Bad Company 2, no way in hell would I have ever picked up Battlefield 3 or 4.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Bad Company 2, I wouldn't be the Battlefield fanboy that I am today. And it's Bad Company's fault.
Yeah, no, right. For shame. Smiley face grenades. But that's what got me into the franchise as well. I mean, I was playing Modern Warfare 2 at the time. I loved the single player. I'm probably one of the few people where the multiplayer did not appeal to me like at all.
Yeah.
I played it a few times. I'm like, I don't even care. I'd rather just play through. I liked the co-op.
The co-op was
that was
dope.
my favorite
Like
part.
there should have been way more co-op missions.
Yeah.
At least 20 to 30 more.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they had was just not enough.
Yeah, I feel like if there was ever anything to get me back into the Modern Warfare series, it'd probably just be to play through the co-op, because the co-op was so much fun.
Yeah, and a co-op story, nonetheless.
That's what I'm waiting for like a first-person shooter. I think Halo 4 did that, where you could play through the single-player mode, but in a co-op version.
Yeah.
And I guess Gears. But,
well, I mean, you were able to always play co-op since the first Halo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But Halo is one of the few. Well, Halo and Gears of War, a couple of the few, but I don't know. For games that are for PlayStation, which I have, I'd like to see people actually take... I mean, they've done it more with the third-person shooters, like Army of Two and your favorite game, Kane and Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I would like to see them actually do that more with first-person shooters, or even like the over-the-shoulder kind of Splinter Cell type games.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
I don't know. I just want more co-op in general. Like, just come on, guys. Especially, just to go on a rant, Battlefield 4 especially. Like, you can tell, the single player was not, made with passion. It was made to have a single player to throw in the game. If you're going to put, that that weak of an attempt into a single-player game, just throw in a second player. That would make the world of difference.
Yeah.
Instead of just having this AI that's I remember that my most vivid memory is I spot and I have them all shooting, and literally all four guys are shooting at one guy, and there's bullets and debris flying everywhere, and I aim and shoot to shoot him in the head.
Yeah,
and I can't even aim that well.
It's like the A-team. It's like you're the villains against the A-team. It's four dudes shooting against all these other bad guys, and nobody's hitting anything except for the main character.
Yeah.
It's really, really, come on, guys.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. It's when I'm out shooting four people and I can't even aim well, that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. EA, give me some co-op.
Make single-player co-op happen.
Do it now.
Over online. Even if not on the same console, do it online.
If not, then we're good. And if not, then I'm going back to Call of Duty.
Yeah, I'm going back. I'm going back to riding dogs.
Yeah. If not, I'm gonna get a combat dog.
Yeah.
Oh man, don't make me do it. But saving the best topic for last. Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. So apparently, Telltale Games, which made the very popular, very well received Walking Dead game, which I've yet to play, but I've heard mixed things on it. But they're supposedly developing a Game of Thrones game. It's yet to be determined if it's going to be based more off of the TV show, the TV adaptation, or of the Song of Ice and Fire, the book series.
The porno.
Yeah, Game of Bones. But yeah, or if they're going to do it much like the Walking Dead game, where it's kind of its own beast, where it's almost like a middle ground, because you see new characters, but then you also see characters that are in the show.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they have their own adaptation. I don't know. I haven't played any of the other Game of Thrones games. I've heard that they're atrocious. There's one where it said it's worth playing for the story, but not much else. I don't know if they're going to do it where it's more like you make choices, you have to make tough choices the way they do with Walking Dead. I really hope they don't do it like that. I would really love to have an actual RPG, Skyrim type game for Game of Thrones, because it's such a vast universe.
I think for what they've shown, like their limitations through the Walking Dead series, I would like to see Telltale literally tell stories from, I don't know, at least 10 different characters' perspectives. Like a full game with 10 different characters that you could pick, between Jon Snow's story, maybe even like Ned Stark's before his ends.
Yeah.
And then you just play that story and it ends.
Yeah.
The way it does, and you're just playing through. Daenerys, Robb, so you're just getting to play through some of the battles, and it just have it explore like some of the greater battles that like the TV show just kind of glances over.
Yeah, what they didn't have the budget to actually show.
No, yeah, I understand that, but
I'm just saying, but I mean, but with the game, they would actually be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be. Game of Thrones is the perfect property if you want to have a game that has various perspectives, especially with like intertwining stories. You can.
And not only that, but there's. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
There's so many. Like I haven't read the book, but I read it vicariously through you. And there's so many minor characters
oh my god,
that you can literally just do like a Dynasty Warriors with Game of Thrones and just pick not just go the same hack and slash type, even though that would probably be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's literally like almost like Romance of the Five Thrones or something, instead of the Three Kingdoms. But yeah, you could pick so many like minor characters and just do those stories.
Yeah.
Or just be this wandering like traveler or sellsword, and then just run into these people like Ramsay Bolton, and then you just do a couple of missions for him, and then you happen to fall upon what's his name, Theon Greyjoy, and then you rope him in and give him to what's his name, and then. And then that story continues, and you're like, oh, well, my job's here is done. I'm going to be a sellsword for, someone over at the Vale or something like that.
Yeah, there's so much they can do. Just with the, the most popular characters with Daenerys or Tyrion, Jon Snow. Just their stories alone, or even if you're playing like a secondary character, like if you played as like Jorah Mormont or, Brienne of Tarth, there's a lot of that. Or even, because I was thinking like, even if you're the perspective of, let's say, you're like just a soldier fighting for like House Stark or fighting for House Lannister, and like just all the stuff that they have to go through,
right.
And if you're able to like choose sides, or maybe if you choose to like kill, like maybe like you're fighting, you're in the north and you're freezing, and you choose to kill like your commanding officer, and they like you're going to be executed, but you decide to take the black, so then you can travel to the Wall instead, and then you join like the Night's Watch and you join those missions. It's like there's so much. That's just in Westeros, let alone across the Narrow Sea where you have Bravos and you have all the free cities, all the missions and all the storylines that you could do with that. So
yeah, and on top of that, just like make so many multiple characters that you can just literally play whichever one you want. Like, all right, today I'm going to go ahead and continue Daenerys' story. I'm going to play as, Sarah Barristan.
Yeah.
And then the next day or later in the week, like, you know what? I want to see what's going on with the Night's Watch. So I'm going to go back to my character that joined the Night's Watch and, do some missions across the, beyond the Wall, and meet some Northerners or whatever. There's just so many cool things you can do. It's like It's just so exciting that I don't know. It's tough to see where they'll go. Of course, they're known for their like choice and consequences, their linear choice and consequences type of gameplay. So it's safe to assume that they'll do something along those lines and not do an RPG. But this is like the prime opportunity to really create something magnificent. And I just really hope they go with it and not just do like this crappy one-off story with a bunch of like new characters that are from like some little, I don't know, you throw a dart at the map and like that's where they're from. They're from Bear Island or some shit like that. And then they come, across from Bear Island to Winterfell, and they witness like Winterfell burning. So they're seeing aftermath of certain events, and you're just playing through that. And you come across like 3 or 4 main characters as you're trying to travel through the Vale, and then from the Vale you're trying to send a message to King's Landing. Yeah, and some kind of like garbage story like that. We're just like, I'm sure it would be a great journey, but you don't want to play the game for that. You want to play the game because you want to be fucking Daenerys or Jon Snow or something like that.
Yeah. They make up a character. You have to be Jeff Snow.
Yeah.
But to be fair, actually, if you were a character from Bear Island, it would be cool. If you were one of the chicks, because, like, the Moormounts, like, let's go off on a tangent. So, like, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, his sister, like, pretty much, like, all of the women from Bear Island are, like, they're pretty much, like, all warriors, because they have to deal with all the Ironborn that are always attacking their island. So they're, like, these really, like, tough, like, fighting women. So it's like, if you actually played as one of them, that would actually be pretty cool, you know? Okay. You're pretty much, like, playing as, like, a Brienne of Tarth type character.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
But I know you just picked, like, a random, I was like, actually, I don't know.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool. But ideally, you want to play as your favorite characters. I want to be Arya. I want to be one of the faceless men, and, you know.
Yeah, and just explore, like, the whole land of Bravos. And just the whole entire, like, I want to be able to get on a horse and travel from Bravos to the Red Waste, you know, and then on to Karth, and just have this incredible journey like Skyrim.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That would be my ideal thing. I really doubt they'd do that, but I would love to see Game of Thrones, like, in the Skyrim context, because just the way they describe it in the book, like, trying to, like, if you actually did just got on a horse and try to go from, like, Dorne to, like, Winterfell, like, all of the stuff you would have to go through, like, all
It'd
the
be like
bandits.
the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to do all this crazy shit, restock on supplies, and, you know, you might get sick because you got cut by a tree branch trying to pick up some elderberries.
Yeah. You know, you're getting attacked by bandits. You got to fight the Brotherhood without banners. I don't know. There's just so much, and there's just, like, I almost feel like I'm very conflicted, because on one hand...
I'm having a fanboy overload.
Because on one hand, I want to say it's hard... it's going to be difficult for them to not do a good job, because it's such a rich and expansive universe.
Right.
But at the same time, I always feel like there's so much there that no matter what, I'm going to feel like, well, I wish they would have done this also.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But either way, I'm very excited. I'm definitely going to pick this game up, and, you know, once I do, I'll do a review, and I'll let you guys know what I think. But you know, as a huge Game of Thrones fan, and someone who's been so impatient waiting for the new season, that I read through all the books just to try and tide me over.
Yeah.
So, you know, I need something in the meantime, because March is still well away.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm pretty sure this game won't come out till, like, Q3 next year.
Oh yeah, so, not at all. It's like it's like right with
season 4 will be well over before this game is even close to coming out.
Well, see, that's the thing. Maybe that'll actually be good, because maybe it'll be like it'll tie me over to season 5 after season 4,
and hopefully by then book 6 comes out.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that would be nice. Oh, book 6, that would be marvelous.
Yeah, but from my perspective, like I'm like mildly excited. I wasn't as big of a fanboy of the Walking Dead game as a lot of other people. I didn't like the way you were forced to make certain choices. Mm-hmm. Like some I understand, like when you have to cut a leg off or something. It's like this is stuff like you either choose to or not to in order to save a person's life. But there's other things where, like, when you're reaching for the hat when you get bit, like that was completely unavoidable. Avoidable. It was completely avoidable.
Yeah.
But they make it to like, well, whether you choose to go for what's on the right or on the left, you're going to get bit regardless. So it doesn't matter. And it's just like, so this is pretty much a pre-made scene that's tricking you to thinking that you're making a choice when you're really not. You know? And there's a lot of little things like that, which like they're taking you on their story and they're making you think that you're playing your own unique story when you're really not. You're pretty much just picking who dies the soonest and who lasts the longest.
Yeah.
That's really all it is, you know? And I didn't really care for that whole perspective because at the end of it, I felt like my choices still were not my own.
Yeah,
and it was like, to me, I always feel like my life is dictated by my choices and not by fate. It's choice over fate, and I felt like this was more like fate. You know, fate with a very little choice, but fate nonetheless, because like you have this pre-rendered fate already installed, and now you're just being forced to play through it and pretending like your choices matter. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't really like the allegory that I drew from that, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I feel like they could improve a great deal just by having the choices actually have consequences.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I don't know, overall I felt it was a good game. It was very emotionally gripping. And, you know, my heart did break at certain spots, and I was just like, oh, man, you know, it's good, you know?
Yeah.
It's a nice little movie. But, yeah, you know, to me it was a mixed bag. To where it was like, you know, the story's good, but the choices factor and the overall gameplay was kind of garbage. I didn't like. It was more of the gameplay because you don't really have this whole set of like weapons and stuff that I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I went in thinking like, okay, got shotgun shell, boom, gonna kill something. It was like, oh no, you have that one shotgun shell and then you discard the shotgun. I'm like, what? Really? Really? And it like in the most dire times to be as resourceful as possible, you're not.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of little gripes that I had, and I've talked about it before. But, yeah, to me, I think overall they did a really good job. But people focus more on the emotional value that the game brings as it being, like, this incredible game when, like, gameplay-wise, it's really not that great.
Yeah.
But it's still a really good game, so I'm keeping faith that they don't do the same thing to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because if they do, it's like, okay, well, the story's... We already know the story's great. We don't need a game to tell us that it's great.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we need. We need it to be refreshing. We need it to be a fun game. And we need it to feel like we're immersed in this fantasy world that we know and love deeply,
Yeah, to me, like, the whole point of adapting that type of story to another medium is to be able to exploit what that medium brings to the table.
Yeah.
So you can get something that you can't get out of the TV show or out of the books.
Right.
It's like something that only a video game can do and like fully immerse you in that universe.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is just reciprocate what you already feel.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing the game, or when we're playing the game, at least I'm pretty sure I can speak for you. You want new feelings. You want to feel more in love with the series after playing the game. You don't want it to be like, yeah, well, I already liked thank God I liked the book and the TV show because this game didn't do it for me,
Yeah.
Or just like, yeah, I mean, it was an okay game, but it's just retelling the story that you already know. It's just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that,
Yeah.
And if you do, you want to do it as the main characters, not as some like made up characters like it was in the Walking Dead game.
Yeah,
where you're
exactly.
telling a different story within the same universe. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't, like, as great as the characters are, like, you're watching Game of Thrones because there's like a multitude of characters already made that you're fucking in love with that you want to be through some extent. So like, I think the game needs to bring that to where you're like I said earlier, pick 10 characters. So pick like Ned. You get to do Ned's story. You get to do Joffrey's story. You get to do Jon Snow, Daenerys, Jorah, Sam Tarly, the Brotherhood Without Banner guy, Melisandre, Stannis, or Bran. Boom, there's your 10 characters.
Yeah.
Or Brienne of Tarth.
I want
There's
to be
another
Sansa.
one.
Just cry every scene.
Yeah, you can even be Sansa. You can be Lord Varys.
The Hound.
So you can either play a political version of the game, or you can play an action version of the game.
Yeah.
Or you can play one that's a little bit of both. So I think there's just a lot of options. It's a very descriptive universe. It's very deep, elaborate, and it's very meaningful. So it means a lot to a lot of people. So now that there's this a well-named studio company making the game, it's like, all right, all eyes on these guys.
Yeah, exactly. The pressure's on.
The other games don't really matter because they were made by like not bad studios, but not well-known studios. It's not like Visceral Entertainment came out and like made the game, or DICE came out and made the game, or even BioWare. It's Telltale Games that made one of the best games of the year.
I will say this: I would be very disappointed if they just made up a character, especially for Game of Thrones specifically. Because even just like, not even just including including the main characters. Like there are so many characters.
Exactly.
In there. Like, even if they just picked like a minor character, but
like pick Yara.
Yeah, but there's like absolutely no excuse to have to make up a character. Like there's plenty to.
Yeah, and that was my gripe about just picking some random person from Bear Island. Like I understand where you're coming from, but it's like, you mean to tell me that there's like 50 well-known characters in this entire fucking series, and you had to make one up?
Yeah.
Really? Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So you could even pick like a random character from like the epilogue.
Yeah, like good or no good, there's no excuse for you to make a new character.
Yeah, exactly.
There's too many pre-existing ones to choose from.
It's like most people can't. Like I as much as I'm a fan of the series, I can't even keep up with all the characters in the book.
Yeah.
When I first watched the show, I was like, I kept getting characters confused. So there's absolutely no excuse for them.
So anybody from Telltale, if you're listening, no excuses.
Exactly.
Quote the Prometheus and Agamemnon.
Because if this game sucks, I will have my vengeance with fire and blood. Fire and blood! My honor is a Stark, and my honor is a Tully. I will rue destroying this franchise. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
So, unless you got anything else.
Nah, just keep blah 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 blah. Tune into our YouTube channel .com/PTWOR512.
Yeah, you can actually just. I think it's just. You can just do Punching the Walls Reality.
Yeah, type that in the search, and then our channel will come up, Pit War 512, and keep up with our Let's Plays, keep up with our Walking Dead reviews, keep up with all our. We have a new set of Comic-Con interviews coming up, so be sure to check those out. We're getting a lot of content out there, so go check it out. Check out the Let's Plays, check out the interviews, check out the Walking Dead reviews. It's all great stuff, and you're doing yourself a disservice by listening to this and not going to the YouTube right after you're done talking.
Exactly.
Now, also check out our Twitter at PTWR. You can follow Prometheus at Prometheus Pit War, right?
Yes.
And you can follow me at DJ Agamemnon.
There you go. You can also follow Bobby Beatle at Bobby Beatle.
At Bobby
but
Beatle.
He probably won't ever tweet.
Yeah, he's rarely ever on
Just
there.
follow him anyway. Just creep him out.
Yeah, just keep sending him shit.
Yeah. Just send him pictures of Jeff Goldblum.
And tell him how much he looks like him.
Yeah, the gold plum.
Also, make sure to visit the website constantly, and as much as you can, please support us. And the Facebook page, Punching the Walls of Reality.
Yes, that's right. Punching the Walls of Reality. Well, this is Prometheus.
This is Agamemnon.
And this has been Save File Corrupted. Ah!
Kyle here. If you're like me, then you want all your shows in one spot, or a lot of shows in the same place, or better yet, some really great podcasts all on one network. Visit 4eyeradio.com for all the best shows featured on Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, iTunes, Mixcloud, and more. 4-Eyed Radio Network, the Fern.